Don't Worry Darling has officially released into theaters. My spoiler-free review is already out now. This is my spoiler review, and I will say I have a whole script written out, and this is just not something I find enjoyable to talk about. Don't Worry Darling is not a film that I feel the need to go through all of these spoilers and the ending explained. After trying to write the script for it, it was difficult to write, so that's already a sign that I was going to have trouble making the video anyways. And it's just not a film that I feel the need to talk about quite a bit. So I'm just going to go through my notes real quick here. And you guys can tell me if I'm crazy. But overall, there's so many moments in this film where it's just art is used over substance. It's just visual aesthetic over substance, over story, over meaning, and really just telling a good story. And I have a list of all of the moments in the film that I could pick out that were just there to be artsy or visually appealing. And that starts with any appearance of the red plane. It absolutely goes nowhere. The black and white dance sequences, those are explained as the images projected around the room of those using the virtual reality headset, but it doesn't have a reason. They don't say why, other than you can assume that it immerses them into the world more. I don't know. Maybe it's putting them into a trance, kind of like Get Out, like the swirling of the cup. And I don't want to compare this to Get Out because it's nowhere near the quality. This film is not a good film, period. It is not a good film. It has good production quality and good sound, all that stuff, but it is not a good film. But going back to it, though, the wall squishing Alice between the window, that has no meaning or relevance. It's just there to be weird and creepy. Alice walking up to the Victory headquarters earlier on in the film, it really, again, has no meaning other than to show that blinking kind of red light as her stepping close to reality, I guess. That's what you can assume. Alice falling through her bathtub and, like, sinking through the water. Her looking at herself going under the water in the mirror, which is revealed in the trailer. All of these moments are just made to be way too artsy, way too flashy, and they don't service the story. They don't further the story other than, hey, that was creepy, that was weird. Overall, we don't get explanations for most of the elements within this film, and the explanations that we do get are very weak and lackluster. Another complaint I have with this film is just the amount of sex scenes. That sounds weird because there's only 2, but they are actually useless. One of them is used to portray that men are creepy. Okay, there's other ways to do it. If you've seen the film, you know what I'm talking about. It's just, there's other ways to do it. It just didn't work. It's creepy, but it just doesn't work within the story. I just don't freaking get it. And then the first sex scene between Harry Styles and Florence Pugh, where he lays her on the kitchen table, that would have been fine. Lay her on the kitchen table, make out, cut. But dragging it on, it just doesn't serve a purpose. And I know you can't call me a prude because my favorite film of the year is X, and that film is absolutely 100% about sex and sexuality, and they focus on, they make these genuinely loving, interesting characters on a corn set, and they just, you care about everybody, and the whole freaking movie is about sex, and it's so well done. It's my favorite film of the year. But the use of sex in this film is so pointless. Other than to have Harry Styles and Florence Pugh, 2 very famous, attractive celebrities that people want to see get it on. Another major issue I have with this film is Gemma Chan's character killing Chris Pine's character. Sure, she's the wife of Chris Pine's character, so therefore you can assume that she's also being held captive like Florence Pugh's character. Now, her killing Chris Pine's character isn't the issue. It's the fact that she waits the entire runtime of the film to do so. This film literally relies on her character not killing him earlier on in the film, because this could have just been a film about her and about her crazy husband or boyfriend who created the simulation. That's almost even more interesting. Again, it gets into more difficult territory of, like, how do you write that? How do you write an interesting guy who's making, that's just a completely different film on its own. But to me, it seems more interesting. And these characters aren't fleshed out in this version of the film. So when you do see Chris Pine's character get killed, it's not satisfying in any way. You're like, oh yeah, well, that's another bad guy. And he died. Yay. Like, this movie baffles me. It has all of the talent attached to it to just be one of the best, most memorable films of a decade or so, you know, because Harry Styles, one of the biggest musicians of all time, period, whether you like it or not. I'm not a fan of his music, but he is one of the biggest musicians. Florence Pugh came out of nowhere with Midsommar. She's in Marvel, whether you like Marvel movies or not. She's fantastic. Everybody attached to this film is fantastic. This film should have not been this messy. But those are my quick thoughts on Don't Worry Darling, my spoiler thoughts. My spoiler-free review is out now, so if you want a little bit more in-depth reasonings behind things, you can go watch that. And if you've seen the film, you'll definitely understand where I'm coming from or what I'm trying to say. But yeah, those are my thoughts for Don't Worry Darling. I just didn't feel like I wanted to take the time to do a full spoiler review. It's just not a film that has sat well with me since seeing it. And with that being said, I will definitely not be purchasing this film. I will watch it once more with my girlfriend when it comes to streaming because she hasn't seen the film. But after that, I will not watch this film again. I really am not. I'm not looking forward to it. I will watch what Olivia Wilde does next, as well as Florence Pugh. Harry Styles, I'll give him another chance, but it's okay. This was easily one of the biggest disappointments of the year, but hey, everybody's got to miss sometimes, don't they? But next up on the channel, I will be covering Pearl, the Woman King, as well as finishing off all of the reviews for the rest of the Halloween franchise leading up to the release of Halloween Ends. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Carter Scotland Allen, and I will see you guys in my next movie-related video. Peace!